Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. I have a little surprise here. I got a motherboard, has a i7 processor on it, I believe 4 gigs of RAM, and I also have a spare video card. So we're getting closer to doing our hardware videos. The only other things I need to acquire now is a power supply, and I need a HDMI capture card. And I have plenty of hard drives lying around here, so that won't be a problem. So once I get all those pieces, we'll be able to start doing some videos based on true hardware installs as opposed to virtual machines. But until then, we have to do the virtual machines. So today's video is about Tails OS. This will be a nice quick video because Tails is you install it on a USB and it's basically a live environment. So let me show you what you have to do to get started here. So first thing, you have to go to tails.boum.org. I'll put a link in the description, and we're going to go to where it says Get Tails, which is about halfway down on the page. And there's a couple methods that you can download. You can either download for a USB stick, an ISO file if you want to burn it to a disk, or if you want to use it for a virtual machine, there's actually an ISO for that as well. So I already downloaded that ISO, and I downloaded the USB stick image file. And you can use DD to image it. I personally use ddrescue because it shows you more details and it will give you any read or write errors. But you can either use DD or you can use any other disk imager to write your USB flash drive. And then you can boot off of it and run it on your system as its own operating system without modifying your hard drive. So it's nice if you want to learn Linux without actually wiping out your computer or modifying your hard drive in any way. So let's get started. So I already set up a virtual machine for Tails operating system here. So I'm going to go ahead and boot it. This is the first boot. So if you do nothing at this screen, it'll load in. So the idea behind Tails OS is to have is privacy. It blocks a lot of trackers, and it blocks out it hides your IP address, and it uses the Tor Tor network to connect to the internet, which is it's nice if you want to just look up something without getting advertisements and things to that nature. So this is the first boot, so it does take some time. Alright, so it's going to ask you all your language. This is fine for what we're doing here, but if you're in another country, you want to change these settings to match the country that you're in. And we're going to click Start Tails in the top right corner. And when you're running in a virtual machine, if you're really concerned about the privacy and security, the operating system is only as good as your host operating system. So my host operating system happens to be Parrot OS in this scenario. But if you're running an operating system like Windows or Mac where they call home all the time and tell you what's going on the computer, that's something you may want to consider if you decide to go the virtual machine route. But if you use the USB method and you go into your BIOS and boot off the USB flash drive directly, it won't be a problem because you'll be running the operating system directly from the flash drive. And you can even go in as far as unplugging the internal hard drive if you wanted to open your system up and do that. Or if you have a setup like this where I can just reach in there and unplug anything as I wish. So anyway, this is the desktop screen here. they do have documentation, which is nice if you want to read up on it. So by default, you have the Tor icon here. So when you go to the applications, right away you're going to see Tor browser, and you have other, you can configure a persistent volume where you can have a partition on the flash drive that's encrypted, and you can only get to it by booting into Tails OS. And they have you have a Tails installer, so you can actually install it right through the ISO file itself. Thunderbird email. So let's open up Tor browser. I'm sure you guys probably played around with it before, but if not, I'll show you what it does. So the Tor network is very slow because it goes through 3 relays before it leaves the Tor network and goes out to the internet. And that's how they hide your IP address. But the other thing that you're going to experience is when you're on a Tor browser, you're going to have to go through a lot of CAPTCHAs and things like that, because there's a lot of computers that go to through Tor networks, and there's multiple hits to the websites from specific IP addresses. So I'll go to one of my favorite websites here, if I can type. So Brave is actually, this is the direct. See, when you go to brave.com, you're leaving the Tor network to go out to the regular internet to visit the website. And Tor has a nice feature here. It says .onion available, and .onion domain names are only available on Tor and are usually randomly generated. So I'm gonna do onion available. I'm gonna click on that, and it should bring me right into the onion site. Okay, there we go. So they managed to keep Brave, but then they have random letters which are randomly generated by the when you create the domain name, and it ends in a .onion as opposed to a .com, and you can only get to .onion through Tor. So this is an example of a Tor website, and a Tor website never leaves a Tor network, so that's even more secure than going outside, like going to a .com or .net or whatever website that you go to. In fact, there's one website that I visit that happens to be attacked pretty often, and in fact the only way I can get to that website is through the Tor network, so sometimes I have to use Tor to go to that website if I can't get it on the regular internet. And I only know of one website that it happens so far, but there's a chance that it could get worse throughout time, especially with all the political stuff going on at the moment. So let's see what else they have in here. So you have your calculator, your text editor, file manager. And I do have some graphic stuff like GIMP. And it has a scanning software, so if you plug in a scanner. And also, you also have a Bitcoin wallet in here as well. You can set that up and store your Bitcoin in there. Onion circuits, onion share, so you can share files through the Tor network with other people that happen to be using it. And they do have an unsafe browser, which is like a regular web browser. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Okay, so this has to be enabled in the welcome screen. This is a security measure. We didn't do that, so it's actually not going to open because we didn't set that up when we logged in. Alright, so it has LibreOffice pre-installed, which most Linux distributions do that. And they have CD burner software, Audacity, sound recorder, So it does have a lot of nice tools in here. I've used some of them before, but I don't know enough of them how to teach you how to use them yet, but eventually I will learn that. Has a root terminal, regular terminal, Tails. It does have a software store, so you can download programs within the Tails operating system. So it's kind of like your own portable operating system. When you're done, you can shut the computer off and take it with you. And you can use it in your desktop. You can use it in your laptop. Any device, any computer that'll boot from a USB flash drive. Okay, so that's pretty much the whole operating system right there. So Places is basically your it's like your documents folder on a Windows computer. That's where all your data would be stored. What else did I want to show you here? There was something I wanted to show you. Oh, let's go play around in settings. See what kind of settings they give us. So I'm trying something a little different today with the recording. I've tweaked my OBS Studio. Before the camera and the sound weren't synchronizing, and I resolved that issue, which I think I resolved the issue. This is the first video I'm doing with that, so we'll see how that works. And I also used hardware encoding instead of software, because I do have two video cards in this system. So one of them I'm using for the monitor, and the other one I'm using for the encoding. Try to balance the load out. So anyway, so you can set your background. They have a notification, so pretty much the standard items you would see in a Ubuntu installation. So actually I may do a Ubuntu installation video as well, because actually I wasn't originally going to do that because there's so many of them out there, but there's a lot of people that are, Ubuntu is like a transition operating system where where you're leaving either Windows or Mac and you're switching into Linux. Ubuntu and Linux Mint are like the go-to before you start exploring other versions and flavors of Linux that are out there. And I've tried a lot of them since I switched to Linux, so I have plenty of experience with various Linux distributions. Okay, so this is a nice quick video here. I've already showed you everything. Let me turn it off, and I'm going to turn it back on and see if I can enable that insecure browser so I can let you guys take a look at that. Okay, so anyway, while that's booting, I'm going to move that off to this. Oh, actually, it's probably almost ready. So let me show you how to create a bootable flash drive. I think I can squeeze that in here. Okay, let's do that later. I'll leave that screen up to remind me. Okay, so somewhere in here we have to enable the unsecure browser. There it is. So on this screen you click the plus sign, and you're going to click on unsafe browser. It's disabled by default, so we're going to go ahead and enable it, which kind of defeats the purpose of this operating system, but it's there if you wanted to use it. You just have to know that it's unsafe, and you know, it's like using like Internet Explorer, maybe a step up from that. Okay, so now if we go to Internet, unsafe browser, okay, it gives you another warning. So we're going to go ahead and click launch. Oh wow, see, they really make it idiot proof here. They give you a warning that the browser is not safe. So you definitely are aware of it. And if you're not, you probably shouldn't be using this distribution of Linux. So let's go to brave.com. Okay, and this, oh well, even the unsafe browser prioritizes Onion, so let me see how that works. Actually, it doesn't work very well because it's not on the Tor network. But it must have some Tor capability if it recognized the that there is an Onion site available. Okay, so that was what I want to show you. Let me show you how to image the how to write the image to the disk. Shutdown is over here on the top right. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to plug your USB flash drive into the computer. And also, it helps to know the size of your flash drive for this next step. So you're going to type in lsblk and press enter. And what that'll do is that'll list the devices that are plugged into your computer, the hard drive devices. So you have the NVMe devices are M.2 hard drives. Let me show you what one looks like. Oh, I can't show you that one. Anyway, they look like these, and they're you know, they go right into the motherboard. In case you're not familiar with those, but if you're taking apart more modern computers, chances are you've seen them before. So I have two of those in this system, and SDA, I'm certain, is my USB drive that I just installed. If you want to verify that it is the USB, what you can do is unplug it from your system and then run lsblk again. Okay, now we see the SDA is up here, but down here we're missing it. So now we know for sure that that is the correct device. The reason we want to make sure it's the correct device is because it's going to write data to it and it's going to erase everything. And if you happen to write it to your internal hard drive by mistake, or maybe another hard drive that happens to be connected to the computer, you're going to have to you're going to lose everything first of all, and you're going to have to redo the operating system. So here's the command that we are going to run. So sudo and then ddrescue. Actually, let me show you the dd version of it. So sudo dd, then you're going to go if equals, and that's where you put your input device. Well, actually in this case it's going to be a file. So if you downloaded the file, it should be in your downloads folder. And oh boy, I downloaded too much junk. Alright, here it is, Tails AMD 64. So I'm gonna drag and drop that in here, and that'll populate the file name. Okay, and then I'm gonna type in OF equals, and then /dev/SDA. Where this SDA came from is the SDA up here. But if you have a SATA hard drive, your internal SATA hard drive will show up as SDA, and then your USB may show up as SDB. So you gotta really be careful with this stuff, because if you mess up, you're gonna have to redo the operating system on your computer. So once you press enter at this point and type in your administrator password, it's all over if you copied the image to the wrong device. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and press enter. I'm going to type in my password here, and I'm going to press enter again. Once I press enter, it's going to start. So we're going to have a blinking line here, and it's going to do this for a while because it doesn't display anything that's going on, which is why I personally like to use ddrescue, because it gives you a detail. So this is the command to run it with the pre-installed dd command, which comes with every Linux distribution. So yeah, I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to do a Control-C, but when it's done, you'll see your prompt show up. So I'm going to press Control-C to cancel that. Okay, I guess that won't cancel it. So it's going to go ahead and finish writing it. And if your LED on your flash drive is blinking when you're doing this, then you know for sure you're going to the right device. Okay, so it ended it. So if you don't have ddrescue, you're going to have to type in sudo apt and update. And I already did that, so I don't have to run that. And then next we're going to do sudo apt install, and then ddrescue, and then -y. And what the -y does is it automatically answers yes to install it, but because it's already installed, it's not going to do anything. Okay, so now to image with ddrescue, we're going to type in lsblk. Okay, as you've noticed, I've lost a partition on this device, so I only have one partition now because we already wrote data to it. So we're going to do sudo ddrescue, and then we're going to put our input file in. We don't have to do the IF or OF. So let's go ahead and put that file back in. This one here. I'm just dragging and dropping it into the command prompt or the terminal here. And then the output is going to be /dev/SDA. And then because we're imaging it to a hardware device, we have to type in --force and then space $D. And that tells that's the command to override the fact that it's a hardware device and write to it anyway. So you press enter. Because I already typed the password, it started right away. So this one tells you the percentage. It's also going to tell you if there's any bad areas, read errors, bad sectors, anything to that nature. So, which is nice because it'll tell you if the drive has a problem, and if it has a problem, it might, and you don't check the drive, it might, you might have problems running the operating system because of that reason. So yeah, it even gives you time remaining. It's about 2 minutes. So about 3 minutes you can have yourself a Tails operating system flash drive and you're ready to boot. Except I don't have the real hardware yet. I don't have the rest of it to show you the whole thing, but I do have a good start here. So all these commands that I typed in, I'm going to put them in a description as well, along with timestamps. But just anytime you run the dd command or the ddrescue command, always take your time. Make sure you type in the right information. Also, if you're not familiar with doing ddrescue or dd, maybe ask a friend to help you that happens to be familiar with it, because you can erase everything on your computer or on another device, on an external hard drive or whatever you have plugged into it. And this is actually the same method I use to write my Raspberry Pi images to my SD card. So you can do that with this command as well. You can write ISO files to USB flash drives. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but usually they work. And it's a great tool. ddrescue I like more so than dd. You get your average data transfer rate. So we're almost done here. So you're actually seeing this in real time unless you decided to skip through the video. So now that it's done, that drive is bootable and you're ready to use your Tails OS operating system. So anyway, that concludes this video, and I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and maybe did some Black Friday shopping, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for watching.